Chapter 3. Latch on to what matters most. I decided to be with my son during this critical time, focusing my thoughts on the present and on what I could affect at that very moment, rather than fretting about the circumstances of his birth or worrying about what might happen next. My love for him became paramount. This simple act and dear frame of mind gave me the courage I needed to see this crisis through. Do you have an old shoebox stashed away some place? Maybe under the bed or in your bedroom closet? Maybe it's in your basement or garage. Whatever the container and wherever you keep it, this is the place where you store your personal and particular and sometimes peculiar treasures or personal heirlooms. These items are rarely valuable to anyone other than you, and their monetary value may be minimal, but you treasure them nevertheless. Personal heirlooms are valuable because they are reminders of what matters most in life. During difficult changes, they conjure up feelings of happier, more secure times. And, perhaps most importantly, when the waves of change crash about us, heirlooms represent a steady platform above the fray, a place deep in our soul that never changes, to which we can always retreat to find some measure of safety, comfort, and guidance. Because of this, we carefully preserve these heirlooms and take them with us wherever we go. The feelings they engender are eternal, and no one can wrest them away. They are external symbols of the internal values that matter most to us. In business, we have heirlooms too. You'll find them in different forms and places, but almost every business has them. Maybe it's the first dollar earned that's hanging on the pizzeria's or ice cream parlor's wall. Maybe it's the corridor at corporate headquarters where pictures and artifacts from the past are displayed with pride. Maybe it's a frayed newspaper or magazine article about the organization's founding or its philanthropic ventures that is carefully preserved and displayed in a place of prominence. Like personal heirlooms, these business heirlooms rarely have large monetary value, but they are incredibly valuable, nevertheless, because they come to represent the organization's underlying values. They reinforce and help institutionalize the company's culture. The values may center on taking risks, taking care of the customer, or concern for the environment. They might represent the ability to create consistent shareholder return or to be a good corporate neighbor involved in the community. These values are heirlooms in that they represent what matters most to a particular organization and the people who work there. It is important that a company's heirlooms be preserved because often they become embedded in the business's brand and are seared into the collective unconscious of its customers. Destroy them at your peril. In many ways, these images and associated feelings are the brand, and they are extremely valuable. For example, when Coca-Cola introduced its new Coke product, the company discovered that for many people, the original Coca-Cola was also a treasured family heirloom. Today, the company's leaders are working hard to preserve this perception. Indeed, safeguarding the values personified by a company's brand or image is the responsibility of each succeeding generation of leaders in all organizations. That's because, in a world of nearly constant change, effective leaders recognize that values are the one thing in an organization that should never change, and that it is their responsibility to preserve and protect them. In his best-selling book, Good to Great, Jim Collins established that one of the factors that distinguish companies that lasted for generations from those that gradually disappeared is that the former were founded on a set of corporate values that have remained constant since the company's inception. Products change, markets change, and people change. But in companies with impressive records of sustainability and longevity, values don't change. In other words, a company without enduring values will not be able to produce long-term value. I'm not referring to those values stated on a plaque on the wall following a one-time executive retreat. Such statements often reflect flavor of the month, thinking at best, and shallow insincerity at worst. True values are long-lasting and live beyond the people who first conceived of them and gave them a voice. I once heard a poignant tale about this specific point. Early in his career, a senior executive recognized that values were an important aspect of successful businesses. So, when he got promoted and took over a division, he articulated the new values that he brought with him to everyone in the division. He trumpeted these values wherever he went, and he even had them etched into the glass over the doorways on every floor. A year or two later, the executive in question got transferred. Before he left, he was walking down the hall one day and saw workmen on ladders working with razor blades on the glass over the doors. As he got closer, to his horror and dismay, he saw that they were literally erasing the values he had worked so hard to inculcate. This painful example underscores the fact that true corporate values represent much more than the good ideas of any one person at a particular time. Values are collective and enduring beliefs about what matters most and how to conduct business from day to day, from year to year, and beyond. They permeate every aspect of an organization and outlive the people who work there. These corporate heirlooms become the organization's glue, connecting past generations with succeeding ones. More importantly, these unchanging, enduring values become a source of practical guidance in times of difficult change, when the company's leaders are forced to make difficult decisions without a safety net. The classic example of this is the Tylenol tampering scare in 1982 that led to several deaths in the Chicago area. Executives at Johnson & Johnson, the maker of Tylenol, reacted quickly by standing on the unwavering platform of values established by the company's founders years before the crisis. They recalled the product, cooperated with investigators, and gave the media full disclosure. By By taking responsibility, they eventually turn the rubble of a potentially crippling PR crisis into a ring of better product safety and a positive public image for the company. How many times have we seen just the opposite? A company gets caught in a difficult situation, and rather than rush to resolve it, the executives run for cover. Rather than stand up and take responsibility, they hunker down and start pointing fingers. There's no need to cite any one particular company. We've all seen this happen too many times. The same applies to individuals at work, too. The best leaders always stand by their values. They let their standards dictate their actions rather than following the whims of popular passions. In contrast, poor leaders choose the popular response that might be expedient, but is wrong. So, one of the best ways to handle constant change is to be clear about your unwavering values. The first step is to establish these principles. You can't adhere to a set of values if you don't know what they are. During times of change, these ethics become beacons as you consider the actions and next steps that need to be taken. Here's a simple exercise to help you identify your own set of values. Imagine that, from this moment forward, you are never able to go back to your current place of employment again, not even to say goodbye. Now, after some of you get through jumping for joy, ask yourself what you would specifically miss about the place where you work right now, other than a paycheck. Take some time to really think this through. What would you miss the most? Would it be the people and the relationships you have built with them over time? Would it be the sense of accomplishment and achievement that comes when you set and reach your goals? Would it be contributing to a winning team? Would it be the challenge of succeeding in a constantly changing environment? Or would it be something else? I propose that whatever you would miss most represents what you value most. It represents your work-related heirloom. Having established these guideposts, you'll be ready when change comes along, as it inevitably will, and you will find solace in your internal values. Even if you lose your job or switch companies or careers, these values or heirlooms will go with you, providing emotional comfort and practical guidance when you need them most. I recently attended a sales meeting where management announced that major changes to the compensation and rewards package were underway but were not yet complete. Tension began to fill the room as members of the sales force began to worry that the changes might have a negative impact on their annual compensation. A somewhat contentious question and answer session seemed to only fuel their anxiety, since the presiding executives did not have all the answers to their detailed questions. Finally, one of the executives stepped to the microphone and said, "It's true that we are changing your compensation package, and that all of the details won't be worked out for another few months. But it's also true that we are not changing, nor will we ever change, our long-held stance of valuing employees and treating them fairly. I can assure you that, driven by these values, we will not design a system that will ultimately do you harm. That simply is not our way, and you can hold me to that." With that, the reduction of tension in the room was palpable. I could sense that people trusted this executive, and that he meant what he said. Falling back on fundamental, unchanging values helped him navigate a steady course to help his people through an unsettling and uncertain time of change. In the same way, you should rely on your values when you initiate personal change, such as considering different career paths or new job opportunities. Your values act as a compass to guide you toward the professional opportunities that foster and reinforce what it is about work and life that you value the most. I remember meeting a first-shift factory worker who had a degree from MIT. Curious, I asked him why he had not pursued a management track or some other position that might place more value on his education. To him, it was all about values. He said, "Sometimes I think about that when I'm driving my 10-year-old jalopy, and I get to thinking of my brother the doctor driving his Mercedes. But I decided a long time ago that spending time with my family is what is most important to me. My brother might drive a nicer car, like some of the guys in management do here, but I look at the hours they have to work and what they have to put up with to do it. My job is low stress, and I get off every day at 3:30. I get to go home and be with my fam I love you. I have 3 kids, and I coach each of their sports teams and get to spend time with my wife. You don't get a second chance to be a parent to your kids when they're growing up. So yeah, sometimes I wonder if maybe I should do something else, but it always comes back to family, and that's what matters most to me. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Maybe when they're grown, I'll consider doing something else. It's simple. Do what you value, and you will value what you do." It may seem strange in a book about change to spend an entire chapter on things that should never be altered, but it is those very valuable heirlooms that we can turn to for solace, guidance, and comfort when we need them most, when forces of change that are beyond our control have reduced our best laid plans to rubble once again.